While 2020 saw a massive decline in the formal wear category for obvious reasons, the last half of 2021 has seen a major uptick in sales. All of those canceled weddings, canceled events are being rescheduled, and people need gowns and dresses. And I really think that this pent-up demand is going to continue into 2022. So I am so excited to chat all about this category with you today. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is MOGIBETH, and for those of y'all who are new here, I own a six-figure reselling business selling women's clothing on places like Poshmark and eBay. And in today's video, we are talking again about BOLO brands, but this time in regards to a category that I've recently fallen in love with, and that is formal wear and gowns. We're talking bridesmaid gowns, mother of the bride gowns, formal gowns, prom gowns, just any special occasion or event gown. And so I have 12 brands that I want to cover with you today, but before we jump into that, I wanted to go over some tips and words of warning that I've learned by selling a lot of dresses in this category over the past year, and just help get you a little bit more familiar with what to expect with this category. I have 12 brands that I want to cover with you today, but before we dive into that, I just want to share a few tips and words of warning about this category. To be honest, I really avoided this category like the plague for the majority of my reselling career because these big old long gowns are hard to store, they're hard to photograph, they're hard to steam, and I just really honestly didn't know much about this category. I have maybe purchased one bridesmaid dress in my life, so I just really kind of would not go into that section of the thrift store and just avoided it. But with liquidation, it has forced me to learn more about categories and brands that I wouldn't have otherwise gravitated toward in the thrift store, and this is definitely one of those things. And so I've sold a lot within this category over the past year, and I've learned a lot. One of those things being is that there's a lot of money in this category. So I want to dive into just some tips real quick. Okay, the first tip is that a lot of these brands have gowns that come with certain style numbers or style names, but a lot of them have numbers. And so it's really important, if you find something, to do your research, look up that style number or name, and include it in the title or description, because a lot of times people are searching for specific styles for events, especially if it's for a bridesmaid's dress. And another thing you need to be cognizant of, especially for the brands on this list that specialize in bridesmaids dresses, is that you're going to want to include the color name, because a lot of bridesmaids are looking for specific colors that go along with the theme or the color of the wedding. So in my experience, this can be easy with some brands and a little bit more difficult with other brands, especially if the brand has a ton of different colors and the one you have, you're not really quite sure between 2 or 3 of the colors. So if that happens for me, I'll just include a note in the description saying this color was chosen based off online swatches to the best of my ability, based off the online swatches from the brand's website. And I've still sold dresses that I include that note in. Okay, so tip number 2 is that this category can actually have a slow sell-through rate. So sometimes when I list gowns in this category, it'll sell really quickly. Sometimes it will sit for months. Even if it sits for months, often when the right buyer does come along, it will sell for close to asking price. And that's because buyers within this category are in a time-sensitive situation. You know, they need to get a dress by a certain deadline. And so therefore they're just less price sensitive. And so just because a dress is sitting for a little while, I would say don't get discouraged. It just has to find the right buyer, and it will, at some point, at least in my experience, provide a really good return. Another tip, and this is especially true if you're thrifting or buying pre-owned gowns, is to always check the hem. The hem can get really dirty because oftentimes the dresses can't be dragged along the ground, and especially if it's an outdoor wedding or something like that. And then another thing to check for on the hem is to see if the dress has been altered. You can still sell altered dresses for sure, but you're going to want to make a note of that in the listing, and also definitely include measurements. Another word of warning, and this is especially true for eBay and Tradesy, not so much on Poshmark, is that this category can be prone to returns. And this is really true for Tradesy if you sell on there, because Tradesy requires that you provide free returns, and currently they're paying for the return shipping cost, which is, I guess, nice. But I've had several dresses in this category that I've sold on Tradesy just be returned. And then on eBay, I've had the same thing happen as well. So it's just something to keep in mind. I typically will just relist it and I'll find a new buyer, but I find that, you know, as opposed to something like jeans, this category is just a little bit more prone to returns, at least on eBay and Tradesy. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that certain sizes in this category do better than others. So what I have found is that any size 8 or above does well, and plus size does really, really well. Some brands, this is true more than others, but I think generally plus size in this whole entire gown formal wear category does really well in my experience. Okay, so those are my tips. I'm gonna go through these 12 brands and I am going to share the average sales price, and this is pulled from comps on Poshmark, not my own, just ones that were available on Poshmark sold. And I only looked at maxi dresses within each brand. Some of these brands do other things, but we're really today talking about gowns specifically. And so the ASPs that I'm going to share are maxi dresses or gowns or formal wear long dresses by these brands. And then I'm also going to share the tag with you and what that looks like. And I also just wanted to share one good experience that I've had selling each one of these brands, just to give an example from my own business. A lot of these sales that I'm going to share, as you'll notice, are going to be new or new at tag, because like I mentioned earlier, I get a lot of pieces within this category from liquidation or retail arbitrage. And if you want to check out my liquidation video, I'll link it up on the screen. But honestly, I've had a lot of success selling formal wear that I've thrifted as well. So I think no matter how you source, this video could be really valuable. So let's dive in to these 12 brands. Okay, so these brands are in no particular order, but we're going to start with number 1, and that is Bill Levkoff. And Bill Levkoff is a brand that specializes in bridesmaid dresses. They have actually a few different labels or tags, so I'll put 2 of them up on the screen. This brand is a little frustrating to sell. First of all, it's the lowest ASP on this entire list, but it still has a pretty good enough ASP to allow for a good profit margin. But really it's frustrating to sell because unlike some other bridesmaids brands on this list, this does not include the style number or name or color on the tag, so you kind of have to guess. But it retails anywhere from $79 to $290, and that $79 price range is pretty low for a bridesmaid's dress, which is why I think it resells for lower, but it still has pieces that do retail for good money and that you can resell for good money. So the average sales price of this brand is $57.39, and I wanted to share one successful sale that I have had, and it was a sale that I had on Poshmark. It was a new Bill Levkoff chiffon halter neck gown. That was a size 8. I had it listed for $100 and it sold for $75 after only 33 days. And that's really, really good for this category, like I mentioned earlier. So if you come across Bill Levkoff in the thrift store and it's in really good condition, I would definitely consider picking it up for the right price. Okay, the next brand on this list is called Desi Collection, and this is actually a brand that is owned by a bridesmaid dress and bridal wear company called the Desi Group, and this company actually owns Desi Collection, After 6, Social Bridesmaids, and Thread Bridesmaids, and it also includes the next brand on this list. I personally really like selling Desi Collection and the next brand on this list because they're kind of the higher end brands within the group, but also all the brands include both the style number and the color on the tag, which makes it really easy to list. And really all of those brands can be good resale opportunities at the right price. The dresses made by Desi Collection are mainly made from chiffon and crepe fabric, and they retail between $99 and $280. The average sales price of a Desi Collection is $67.33, but what I found is that they do have a line of fully sequenced dresses, and this is true for a few brands on this list that can actually go for much more than that. And my example that I'm going to share with you is proof. This was a new Attack Desi Collection L sequin bridesmaid dress that I sold on Tradesy. It was a size 8 and I had it listed for $180 and it sold for $180. It did take 141 days to sell, but for that sales price I am very happy with it, especially again it being formal wear. But the next brand on the list is Alfred Sung, and again it is a brand that's owned by the Desi group, but Alfred Sung really specializes in a certain type of bridesmaid dresses made from a satin twill fabric that's much more structured, and they retail for more money between $200 and $250, so they're kind of on the higher end of things, which means that they have a higher average sales price of $74.75. My best sale by this brand was an Alfred Sung D611, and that's kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about style numbers. That's what it looks like. It's D611 pleated A-line gown that I sold on Poshmark. It was a size 12 and I had it listed for $150 and it sold full price for $150. And you'll see this on the list happen a few times. A lot of times these dresses and these gowns sell full price. I think it's often because people who don't necessarily often shop on the secondhand marketplace or the resale marketplaces like Poshmark in these situations do, and they aren't used to, you know, offering and all that stuff. And again, like I mentioned, they're not quite as price sensitive, so a lot of times they'll just buy outright, which is really, really great. And this dress actually sold after only 18 days of being listed, so that was a really good sale that I was really, really happy with. The next brand on the list is Adriana Papel, and you're probably familiar with this brand. It's one along with the next one on the list that I come across often in the thrift store, but Adriana Papel really specializes in wedding gowns, bridesmaid gowns, and mother of the bride gowns. A lot of their dresses have really intricate details and a lot of beading, and what I have found is that the more intricate the design and the details of the dress, the more that it goes for on the resale market, and of course the more it retails for, so that makes sense. But dresses by this brand retail between $150 and $380, and the average sales price of, again, just gowns by this dress, I only looked at maxi dresses, is $112.82, which is really good. And oftentimes I'll come across shorter dresses by this brand that I'll pass on, but if I come across a long evening gown, then I definitely check comps and oftentimes pick it up. My best performing piece was actually something that I purchased through retail arbitrage though. It was a new Attack Adriana Papel floral column gown that was really, really pretty, and I think this style is actually still available on their website, but I sold this back in 2019. It was a size 10 and it sold on Poshmark. I had it listed I think for $200 and it sold for $150 after 123 days. I actually made a really good return with that retail arbitrage purchase, so at the time I was super excited because it was really one of the first kind of evening wear, formal wear pieces that I had a lot of success with. The next brand on the list is probably, again, one that you know, and it is Tadashi Shoji. This is potentially maybe the most fashion brand on this list. It's a designer that has runway collections every season, and it retails between $250 and $700. Again, Tadashi Shoji and Adriana Papel have been around a while, so you want to be really selective with what you pick up when sourcing pre-owned, because a lot of the styles that you might come across are going to be outdated and therefore not in very high demand. So I come across it quite often. I just have to be really, really selective, and I look for more, again, gowns, longer dresses that are more recent styles. But this is one of the brands on the list that I have mainly thrifted. Most of the items that I've sold through Tadashi Shoji have been thrifted items, so I continue to pick it up and continue to have a good success with it. When we're looking at, again, just maxi dresses or gowns, the overall Average sales price of this brand is $158.96, which is great. It can really be a well-performing brand. My best performing piece was this new Tadashi Shoji sequin cold shoulder gown that I sold on Poshmark. It was a size 12 and I had it listed for $270 because again, it is a really nice piece. It had sequin embellishments all along the shoulder, and I accepted an offer for $150 after 22 days. I think if I would have waited longer, I could have made more, but it was a really quick return after just 22 days and I made good money on it. So I'm not mad about that sale. And it goes along with the overall average sales price being $158. So it's not too far out of the ballpark, but that was a really good sale that I made quickly. The next brand on this list is called Haley Page Occasions, and this is a brand that's owned by JLM Couture, which is again another bridal evening wear company that has different dress brands within their portfolio. Haley Page Occasions is their bridesmaid dress within their portfolio, and their dresses retail between $250 and $350. One nice thing about this brand is that it does include the style number on the tag, so that is helpful when listing. The average sales price of this brand is $68.73, and the successful sale I had that I want to share with you was on Poshmark. It was a new with tag Haley Page Occasions bridesmaid gown in the 5904 style number, and it was a size 8. I had it listed for $125 and I sold it for $100 after 194 days. So again, it took a little while to sell, but it was a good sale nonetheless. The next brand on this list is JS Collections, and this is something that I wasn't really privy to before doing liquidation, but since learning about it, I really want to pick it up more at the thrift store. It's a special occasions dress, and they really specialize in a lot of embroidered lace dresses that really kind of lean more toward mother of the bride dresses or wedding guest dresses, or just special event dresses, like say there was a formal holiday party coming up. I think this brand would be good for that. It retails between $150 and $450, and the average sales price of this brand is $81.88, which is great. They do have more intricate dresses that can go for more, and one example of this is a dress that I sold over on Tradesy. It was a JS Collections floral embroidery evening dress that I had listed for $185, and it sold for full price on Tradesy for $185. It was a size 10 and it sold after 89 days of being listed, so a really good sale. I know I said in the beginning of this video that I get a decent amount of returns on Tradesy in this category, which is true, but I also get a decent amount of full price sales, really good sales in this category on Tradesy. So not to say you should skip Tradesy for this category at all, but just you've been warned. The next brand on this list is one that I've talked about a bunch, and it's a brand that I included on my 50 BOLO brand list about a year ago when I released that, which is 100% free. If you haven't downloaded that, you should definitely do that. It's over at MOGIBETH.com. But the brand is Jenny Yu, who is a bridal wear designer based in New York, and her dresses are sold at places like Beholden, which is the retailer within the Anthropologie umbrella that specializes in weddings and bridal wear. And actually, if you want to research this category more, beholden.com, BHLDN.com is a really good place to do some research. But Jenny Yu sells both bridesmaids dresses and wedding dresses, and they're gorgeous. The bridesmaids dresses typically retail between $275 and $350, and the wedding dresses can retail upwards of $1,650. But the overall average sales price of this brand on Poshmark, in again maxi dresses, is $135.67. And I have thrifted this brand a couple times. I've done retail arbitrage with this brand. It's a really good brand to experiment with because it has a really decent average sales price. So if you find it for the right price, check comps of course, but I think it's worth experimenting with and taking a risk on. But my best performing piece was this new with tag Jenny Yu Mila ruffle chiffon gown in navy that also sold on Tradesy. It was a size 10 and I had it listed for $165, and it sold for $165. It did take nearly a year to sell at 357 days, but at least it sold full price about a year later. Okay, so the next brand on this list is called La Femme, and they specialize in prom, evening, and mother of the bride dresses. So while they do have bridesmaids dresses, that's really not their specialty. They really expand beyond just kind of plain colored gowns. They have a lot of beading, a lot of dramatic silhouettes, lace. So it's really good for prom dresses, homecoming dresses, and then they also have more mature styles that are great for mother of the bride. And their dresses retail between $200 and $700. They have a really good average sales price of $106.86. And my best experience with this brand was a new La Femme beaded lace applique tulle gown in gray. This was a gorgeous dress that sold on Poshmark. It was a size 14, which again is a really good size, and I had it listed for $290 and I sold it for $199 after only 12 days. So that was an excellent sale. If you ever see any kind of dress like this by La Femme that's really, intricate, beaded, I would definitely consider picking it up. The next brand on this list is kind of similar in the amount of intricate detail, and this brand is MacDougall, which is again a brand I was not familiar with until doing liquidation, and then quickly learned that it is a really, really good brand to know. It is the most expensive and best performing brand on this list. It is by the Indian designer MacDougall, who makes really dramatic, again, intricate evening gowns. There's a lot of sequins, a lot of embellishment, a lot of ruffles, a lot of tulle, just really gorgeous, almost couture-like pieces that you can buy for less than $1,000. They also have a line within MacDougall called, and I think this is how you pronounce it, Iena. It's spelled I-E-E-N-A by MacDougall, and that line is kind of a more, I guess, sophisticated, dialed back type of line where they're doing mainly solid color pieces and satin and jersey fabrics with beautiful silhouettes still. But between those two lines, they retail anywhere between $270 and $995, so kind of up to $1,000. But the average sales price of this brand on Poshmark is $226.84. Really, really great brand to know, and that leaves you a lot of room to experiment with, do retail arbitrage on, or online arbitrage, or however it is that you can come across these pieces. My best performing piece by this brand was a new tag MacDougall 3434D, so again they have those style numbers, cowback sequin evening gown that I sold on Poshmark. It was a size 2, and I had it listed for $275, and again it sold full price for $275 after 158 days. So very great sale, great brand to know. Write it down if you need to. Mac space Dougal, D-U-G-G-A-L. Okay, the next brand on this list is called Sorella Vita, and it is a bridesmaid's dress brand by an Australian wedding wear group called Essence Designs, and they also own the brands Essence of Australia, Martina Liana, Stella York, and All Who Wander. But I wanted to include Sorella Vita on this list because I've thrifted it a couple of times and I come across it in the thrift store and it's done well for me. So they sell mainly chiffon gowns, but they also again have a fully sequenced gown, which is the style that I've come across and have picked up a couple of times. It's hard to figure out what these dresses retail for because I couldn't find it anywhere online, but on their website it says that they retail for $200 plus. So they're in the higher end of things when it comes to bridesmaids dresses, and that reflects in their average sales price of $79.63. My best performing piece was actually a sale on Mercari that I had back in 2020, and it was this Sorella Vita champagne sequin bridesmaids dress in a size 12. Again, it was pre-owned, and I had it listed on Mercari for $135, and it sold for $135 after 251 days. So if I came across that dress again in the thrift store and Goodwill, I can actually remember when I found it, I would pick it up again and I would sell it again. It was a good sale and it's a good brand to know. Okay, we're finally at the last brand on this list, and that is Pizarro Nights. And this is a brand based off the tag. I may have skipped in the thrift store. However, they actually have really beautifully beaded evening wear dresses. And these dresses are especially popular for mother of the bride or wedding guests, and they have kind of just more mature style dresses, a lot of intricate beading, and they retail between $200 and $280. So, you know, a good retail value, which leads to a good resale value of $103.31. And my good sale by this brand was a new tag Pizarro Nights embellished beaded gown, which I sold on Poshmark, and it was a size 14W, which again, a good size. And I had it listed for $200 and it sold for $140 after just 20 days. So really, really good sale. But there you have it. Those are the 12 formal wear brands that I want to share with you today. A lot of my great sales these days are coming from these brands. So I wanted to make sure to share it with you now because I think 'tis the time where a lot of these events are taking place, and I really again think it's going to continue into 2022. So if this is a new category for you, I urge you to just experiment with it and maybe do a little bit of research on your own. If you've watched to the end of this video, I'm going to share a few other notable mentions of brands, some of which you may know but just really do well in the formal wear or wedding wear category. Show Me Your Muumuu does a lot of bridesmaids dresses, and those tend to do well for me. Dress the Population is another formal wear dress that the long evening gowns do really well. Lulu's, again, I talk about it incessantly on this channel, but they do bridesmaids dresses as well that can do really well and sell quickly. Alex Evenings is a more mature evening wear dress brand that can do really well. Katie May is another brand I think I talked about on Instagram recently in my daily BOLO stories that I do over there that does formal wear, and they also have wedding dresses. And then lastly, Xscape, which is just an X and then Scape. That brand can do really well. But there are so many brands in this category. I could do more videos on this topic, so if you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments down below and I can dive a little bit deeper into it. But it's also just a really good category for research. So if you want to dive down the formal wear and wedding wear rabbit hole, go for it, because it's a very lucrative one. But anyways, I hope y'all found this video helpful. If you haven't already, please give this video a big old thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But I will see y'all in the next one. Okay, love y'all. Bye.